Julie.
This is Julie from ACC.
And I'm Ace, and
I'm Giovanni.
Hello everybody, this is Julie.
I'm Giovanni.
and I'm Ace, and we are from the Alumni and Career Center of MSU-IIT.
Yeah, and for today's video, we're going to answer your frequently asked questions on what ACC is about. So, Sir Giovanni, shall we get this started, no? So, can you tell us what is ACC?
Well, ACC may sound like a new name to many of you, but actually we are not a new office. No, we're an old office, and our former name was actually the Office of Alumni Relations and Placement. And we do a lot of things here. No, for the alumni side, it's us who would organize the homecoming of our alumni. It's us who would do the alumni tracing, extension activities with the alumni, and so on and so forth. For the career side, it's us who does the mock job interview, the job fair, the life after college forum, preparing our graduates to become workplace ready.
So, Sir Giovanni mentioned that ACC is not a new office at all, but the ACC is composed with a new team. So, at Ace, can you introduce to us the members of ACC?
Yes. So actually, currently, the center is composed of 6 members. We have Sir Juve as our director. We have Ma'am Nora, our liaison officer. We have Ate Rai, our financial assistant and clearance officer. Then there's me and Ate Julie, and then we also have a new member in the center. We have Farhan, our IT guy. So for the 3 of us, we were actually just recently reassigned to the office early April for the purpose of implementing a special project on strengthening alumni relations and the Endowment Fund campaign. So that's basically why we're doing this.
Yeah. So, one of the few things that we did after being reassigned in the center was to conduct a benchmarking activity in Silliman University. So, sir, since Silliman University is a known university which has an active alumni members actually. So, sir, can you share to us your takeaway from that activity?
Well, there are a lot of takeaways that we got from the experience of Silliman University. But I think what struck me most was the idea that, the strong sense of loyalty and identification of the alumni with their university is formed out of the pleasant and meaningful experience of the alumni while they were still students. No? And this means that, making our graduates loyal to MSU-IIT and wanting to come back to MSU-IIT is not just the responsibility of one office, that's the Alumni and Career Center. No? It's the responsibility of everyone, from the security guards, to the top management, to our faculty and staff, to the librarians. Everybody should make the stay and the life of our students in the university, pleasant and worth reminiscing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Ate, how about you? What's your takeaway from the activity we had?
I learned that it's very important for the head of office to be really present and involved in the projects that we do, so that we can send a message to the alumni community that they are important to the university just as much as they were when they were students. So it's a good thing that our chancellor is actually also an alumnus of the institute. I'm sure he resonates with that sentiment. That's exactly why he formed this team to conduct this special project.
Sa ako walang good that you mentioned about the presence or the visibility of the top management, because lahira yun ang ma-generate nga kanabitang boosting of the morale, no, when the head of the agency or when the head of office is there, it boosts the morale, of the alumni bang importante gid ay ni, para ani nga university.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Jules, so what's your
Going back, for
you
the
remember?
takeaway, the staff or the people involved in that office should also be passionate and committed, because that's what I can sense from the director of the alumni in the Silliman University. He's really committed in what he does. He is really passionate in reconnecting with the alumni, and that's what I think. Those are the key things for it to be successful, for the alumni office to be
Magkita
successful.
murag mga passionate and committed man rin ako. So
Yes,
so
sir.
yeah, we also need your commitment and your passion, fellow alumni, no, para ato ang matabangan ng MSU-IIT. Ma-revitalize nato ang alumni community and our relation with our alma mater.
Yes. So, since we already explained to you what is ACC about, sir, can you tell us the future plans of the center?
We have a lot of plans, no, for the office, no. We're intending to like improve the tracing of our alumni, no. We also want to feature the extraordinary stories of our alumni. We know that there are a lot of alumni, no, of MSU-IIT who are touching people's lives, who are making a huge impact and contribution to the communities they serve, no? And yet, nobody is featuring all these, beautiful stories, no? And that's one thing that we intend to do, no? And we also want to raise funds, no, with our alumni. And I remember one of the important marching orders, no, of Chancellor Dito Kalan is that he wants to see our alumni get involved in the extension activities of the institute. And so, manawagan mi sa inyo ha, na hopefully you can join us in the community days, in the extension projects that the institute, has in store for our, community partners.
Yes, siguro to be more specific, no, in the immediate future, as part of our plans to revitalize the alumni community, we're visiting major cities to meet some of our alumni. So this October, we are going to Manila to meet you guys.
See you in Manila.
We're also going to Cebu, I think by the end of October, and then November, I think Davao. So we hope that we will get to meet some of you.
Yes, and to add on our future, or to be specific about featuring the extraordinary stories of our alumni, we all know na no matter ordinary stories can be extraordinary too. And we would like to find commonalities that we can share, because apart from being alumni of IIT, we would like to know what is the essence of being an IITian in our features, so that we can have all a commonality. We can bond on that on the stories that we're going to share in the future.
Yeah. I'm even thinking of ganabitang inviting alumni, tapos they will share their stories when they were still, students at MSU-IIT. What
Exactly.
was their, funniest experience
Exactly,
here in MSU-IIT? What was the most stressful moments they had in MSU-IIT? Their most loved professors.
Sino ba?
Their crushes, for example, among the faculty members. So I'm thinking of those kinds of, because reminiscing all these stories somehow will promote or will generate nostalgia among our alumni. And now, you mentioned about the future plan, no? I think I should mention this, no, because at the moment we are only 6 in the office, and we're supposed to be taking care of the alumni relations, alumni programs, and the career side, no, of our job. But the career job is actually eating much of our time and energy and resources, to the extent that the alumni side of our tasks, no, is being drowned by the career side. And so I talked to the chancellor and floated the idea that why don't we, return the career center to the student services. After all, ang ihamog trabaho yun sa career center is really student services mo yun siya, no? Preparing our students para sa to become, good alumni, no? Fortunately, he is agreeable to the idea. And that's the reason why also, if we are going to return the career center to the student services cluster, we would merge now the alumni center and the endowment fund office, because the mandates of these two offices are very much aligned. In Silliman University, ang pinakadako na source sa ilang endowment fund is actually their alumni.
Yes.
No? Although dili na to i-limit sa alumni, because we also have other partners,
Yes,
no,
other
especially
agencies.
the industries, foundations, etc., who would also like to leave a legacy, no, and support the programs of MSU-IIT. But again, we would encourage very much our alumni, because we want you to be part of our legacy, no, of the legacy of supporting projects and programs and worthy beneficiaries in perpetuity.
Yeah.
So mo na mo ang ginauna
Yes.
giplano.
So sir, you started mentioning naman about merging the endowment fund to our office, the Alumni and Career Center. No? And we failed to mention actually that Sir Giovanni is also the endowment fund manager of the institute. So sir, can you share to us what is actually endowment fund?
Well, the endowment fund is actually a kind of donation that is set aside and invested to fund particular programs and projects, no, of the institute. No? And what is special about this kind of donation is that it will not be depleted. No? It is going to exist in perpetuity. Forever na siya din ha. Why? Because ang interest lang or ang profit lang, no, sa gi-invest nimo sa imong donation, ang gamiton para suportahan ang intended beneficiaries or ang intended program or project, no. So kay interest naman, ang principal nga amount forever mag-exist na siya, no. And just to illustrate to you ha, kung unsa ka importante ang endowment fund, no, as a form of long-term na pagtabang sa imong isig katawo. I think Ace has a story to tell about, the experience of Silliman University.
Yes. Yeah.
Remember the
Vice President of Silliman University actually shared a story wherein a particular person went back to the university to ask if the endowment fund that his grandfather created was still active, because he wanted to continue that legacy of donating to that fund. And when he did so, he brought his son as well to Silliman, so that probably to show him that when the time comes, he can also continue that. So I think this is already putting an emphasis on what is the value of the endowment fund. It's saying that the impact of the endowment fund is actually intergenerational, not just for the beneficiary, but for the donors as well. So what lasts forever is not just the money or the benefits, but the value that it stands for, which is all about paying it forward. And I think that's why when Sir Jude talked about what is endowment fund, it's actually very different from other forms of donation, because the donors are more involved.
Yes.
So it's more intentional, there's more accountability, because they get to
Choose
their beneficiaries,
Yes.
and probably the projects that they want to invest on if we don't have portfolios yet. So what it does really is it's redefining philanthropy in the academe in ways that the university has never seen before. Just like it did with Silliman University and Harvard University and other big universities. So that's why with Sir Giovanni as the Institute Fund Manager and us as his de facto staff, when we talk about the birth pains of being new to the office, the stress is kind of offset by those potentials, because we're finally learning that the purpose of the endowment fund is bigger than ourselves.
Yes.
And we want to work with members of the community and the industries who also want to be part of that. So we really hope that this campaign will prosper, so that we can create whatever it is that the endowment fund wants to achieve.
But di ba sir, the endowment fund office is already existing in the institute. And then, what's gali ang ihang state at the moment, sir?
The state of our endowment fund is really deplorable. No? It was created, I think, more or less 10 years ago. Pero kabalo mo kung pila ra ang na-donate nga amount sa ato Endowment Fund. There was only 50,000 from one batch of high school students from the Integrated Developmental School.
Yes.
So 50,000 in a span of 10 years, that's very deplorable, no? And very, very unfortunate. No?
Yeah.
And we know na daghan kaayo ang mga alumni sa MSU-IIT nga grabe naka-successful
Yes.
sa ilang mga career. And asa di sila karong mga tawhana? I'm not saying dili sila generous. Probably, ang MSU-IIT ang nagkulang sa pag-inform sa ilaha. Hey, nahatay Endowment Fund.
That's
Gusto
true.
mo make a difference? Please donate to our Endowment Fund. You can touch, many lives of people. You can make a difference. You
Yes.
can make an impact to the communities that MSU-IIT is serving. So thank you, Julie, for
Yes.
asking me that
Yes,
question.
actually, sir, no, that now that we mentioned that we have an endowment fund office, it begs the question na since we are a state university actually and we are being funded by the government, our alumni might be asking, ano kailangan pa man may mag-donate na naman may funds gikan sa government. So,
Yes.
why donate to the endowment
That's a
fund?
very good question, Julie, and I'm glad that you asked that for us to be able to, lay down our cards.
Yes.
True, we are a state university and therefore we get our funds from the government.
Yes.
But government funds are not infinite. They are limited. And so, even if IIT wants to do this, do that, expand its programs, reach out to more communities, make a bigger impact to the communities that we are serving, sometimes we are constrained by the limited resources that the government provides for MSU-IIT. And this is the importance of the Endowment Fund. The Endowment Fund can serve as a buffer, resource for MSU-IIT to be able to expand its projects, reach out to more communities, and make a bigger difference.
Yes,
Siguro
exactly.
to add from that too, in one of our conversations, we talked about how although free yung tuition sa
Yes.
state university, not everything is rosy for the students, no? Because
True.
majority of the students in state universities are really not well off, unlike
Yes,
those who
that's
attend
true.
universities in the university level. So yes, their tuition fee is free, but it doesn't mean that they have the means to really live a comfortable life
Yes.
that is favorable to their learning. So what the endowment fund does is to make that situation better for them, and I think that Sir Jude told me about this before in one of our conversations, that as an alumni, we also enjoy the perks and benefits of being a student of a state university, and I think it's only about time to create path wherein we can pay it forward for those who will come after us.
Ace ug Julie, ma-remember lang nako ba? You know what? Just to give you an idea kung unsa ka dako ang pwede ninyong matabang sa atong mga estudyante kay basig nagtuota nga mga maayo kaayo og kahimtang ang tanan naka-eskwela gud Pero ma-remember na mo when we organized one kapehan session here in IIT, nang-distribute ra gud in taon yung mga donuts o kanang coffee stick. And ang pila sa mga estudyante taas kaayo. And unfortunately, we ran out of donuts,
Yes.
di ba? We ran out of donuts. And there was this one student who was really, trying to scrutinize the box where the donuts were. Iyag yung gitanaw, iyang gipangita dito, kung naapa ba yung tayo donut. And Ace and Julie were so apologetic to him. And they said, "Sir, wala na may nakurot naman. Kung saan naman lang di na, kape na lang, isang kape na lang, ma'am." No? And someone, approached us and made this comment. Kabalo mo ka ng mga estudyante na to, mulpila gina sila tungod kay daghan sa ilaha ang walay mga paniudto ug dili makakaon. So that's how needed is your donation to some of our students. No?
Yeah, we all heard naman how beautiful or how it's going to be impactful if there's going to be a successful endowment fund in the institute. So we actually the three of us are alumni of IIT. So ingani na lang, mag-ask ta, diba? If dato na daw kintahin me.
Mm.
So, what programs or kanang projects will you support man, sir, if ever man gali?
Kaya ako yun na, no?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I've been a dialogue facilitator, no, of the Transitional Justice and Reconciliation Commission way back in 2015. And one of the things that I did way back then was organize community dialogues and community consultations. One of the community consultations that I did was with the Higaunon tribal communities, no, in the hinterlands of Iligan. And isa sa ilahang mga hinanakit, because we were talking about kasi mga hinanakit ninyo sa atong gobyerno, sa kinabuhi in general, etc. One of their frustrations is that ingon nila, sir, ngano man ang MSU-IIT, dili man makasulod ang among mga estudyante dinha, ang among mga anak dinha. Gusto ta namo among mga anak dira ipa-eskwela kay unang-una barato, maayo ang kalidad sa ilahang edukasyon. Pero kung saan man pagsulod sa among mga bata, ang mga estudyante din sa ilang basic education na foundation, puro kaayo, unya, wala pa gid may mga kwarta, dili gyud di ay may pwedeng musulod din ha og maka-eskwela ang mga anak dira. And that was a huge pain in the heart, no, for me. Fortunately, during the time of Chancellor Dito Kalan, I learned, no, from our Vice Chancellor Academic Affairs nga na ay duha ka blocks na exclusive para sa higaunon nga mga youth nga ilahang gi-admit and tagaan og bridging program para maka-pursue og mga degree courses dinhi sa MSU-IIT. And that particular program is the one that I want to support because sa yun ra ang pagsulod sa MSU-IIT, no, through that special arrangement, no, with our tribal leaders. Pero ang paglahutay ba, mamagod na siya, naaba sila'y pagkaon, naaba sila'y pambayad sa ilahang puyanan, no? Naaba sila'y ikapalit og mga libro, naaba sila'y ikapalit og school supplies, no? These are the questions that need to be answered if they want to finish their education here in MSU-IIT. And at the moment wala pa nag-support ana niya.
So ikaw mo support.
Pila mo si Sir Giovanni.
Yes.
Mag-donate na siya.
Panaglitan, no?
Siya may second donor sa
Gaduling.
How about you, Ate?
Siguro ako, if I were a donor to the Endowment Fund, and I wish I become one, I think I would support a program that will provide incentive for working students. And this is something that the three of us can relate to, not just as an alumni, but because we've all been working students, me still am. I just felt like working students usually don't have the luxury to enjoy the process of like enjoying the idea of achieving their dreams because they're always on survival mode and they're always beating deadlines and catching up on something both at school and at work. So I think that if covering some of their expenses will significantly mean that they can reduce the number of hours that they spend in their graveyard shifts or probably unload one of the many part-time jobs that they are handling, then I think that's worth the donation because working students are usually perceived as resilient students.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I personally believe that students should have to be resilient first before they get what they deserve, which is an environment that is favorable to their growth. And while that can sound very idealistic and realistic, I think that's why very invested in the Endowment Fund because I think that the potential of the Endowment Fund is all about turning what is idealistic to reality. And as a donor in the future, I want to be part of building a system that makes that work.
Yeah, that's so nice to hear, Ate, no? Because
In fact,
I'm with you.
In fact, I want to be a recipient of her endowment fund.
Yeah, because really the struggles of being a working student is unexplainable actually,
Yes,
diba?
super.
No one's going to support you but yourself alone.
Yes.
There are a lot of
Yes.
untold stories
Yes,
about
stories.
our lives,
Yes.
no? As
And in one of our
working
discussions,
students.
actually, when we were trying to talk about how the IRR of the Endowment Fund would come about, we were discussing who would be the beneficiaries. And I've always believed that donation shouldn't be selective. Pero Sir
Yeah.
Joe was saying na no, it should go to the most deserving.
Yeah.
And right now, I kind of understand that. And if that's the standard, then I think working students are the most deserving probably because, di ba kasi you were saying, Manggod, na it should go to the person who is really trying their best to make it through. And there's no better arbiter than someone who's trying to sustain themselves
Yes.
to finish their education. So, yeah.
Here, here.
Yeah, here, exactly. Since you mentioned that you like to support students in general, and on my part naman, we all know that we have an extension programs in the institute, and although there, of course, we mentioned that apart from we have government funds, I would like to support a project that would be able to sustain these extension programs or projects, because it would be very meaningless rather if they would not be sustained, diba? Because what's the point of having an extension program if it's just going to last for 1 to 2 years?
Yes, terms lang.
Mm.
Oh, and usually extension programs for me is it's the conscience of the university.
Yes.
Kumbaga kung sa corporate world pa, yan yung CSR. So it's really
Yes.
important that
Yeah.
it's sustainable.
This is where the university steps
Yes.
down from the
Yeah.
pedestal where we
Yeah.
stay and make our presence and relevance felt by the community.
Yes,
So
exactly.
yeah, I think
Yes,
there's a
sir.
very good support, intention or plan to support extension programs of the university.
So that's it, no, for the Endowment Fund. We all know that when you donate to the Endowment Fund, you're not only leaving a legacy for yourself, you will be able to support a community, a person in need. So,
You'll be touching people's lives.
exactly.
Forever.
Forever.
Yes.
Maybe
Forever.
That's the whole
perpetuity.
point. Because
So may forever.
Yes,
Diba? That's the Endowment Fund.
Actually, more na siya ang bagong tag sa Endowment Fund office.
My forever. I like that.
My forever sa Endowment Fund. Charot
unlike
lang.
most donations, di ba? Kasi
Yes.
our general idea of donation is there's a rich person, they want to donate to a particular cause, and then that's it. But with Endowment Fund, there's a plan, there's an intention to
Yeah.
make it last forever. So
Yes.
that's why the impact is, the possibilities of the Endowment Fund is so infinite.
I also have words
Yeah.
not to describe and to distinguish the ordinary donation from the Endowment Fund.
Yes.
Sa ordinary donation man good, you just give the money and the money is spent. So wala na.
That's it.
Sa Endowment Fund, you give the money, but you don't spend the money. You only spend the interest and the revenues that is generated by that money and spend it for the beneficiaries. So forever, dili mawala ang imong endowment fund, no? Ay imong i-donate. Naara siya din ha. Pero padayon siya nga gatabang sa mga tao o sa mga komunidad o sa intended nga mga programs nga imong suportahan. Remember the story of the person nga nibalik dito sa Silliman University to check on the endowment fund of his grandfather. Iyang grandfather, by the way, Ace forgot to mention, patay na, na-deceased na ang iyang grandfather. And natingala, naghuna-huna lang siya, naka-remember mong good siya, no? Kay his grandfather told him about it, no? And so iyang i-check, pag-check niya dito, nako ba ang kuan kay gusto na ko padayon ko nga mosuportahan na o padayon ko nga mag-donate dito sa iyang fund para mudako pag ang fund, para mas mudako pag ang interest sa iyang kwarta. And amazingly, no, na-surprise kayo ang tao tungod kay Silliman University said, yes, padayon nga naghatag o nag-generate og kwarta o padayon nga gasuporta ang fund sa imuhang lolo sa iyahang mga scholars. So, it's really a legacy, no? So kung gusto mo bilin og legacy,
I was actually listening to a podcast this morning, and surprisingly, the guest was also talking about charity. She said something about how the opposite of poverty is not wealth and income. The opposite of poverty is dignity. And I think that if your donation is channeled to education, that's a very good way to really give people the chance to live a dignified life.
Wow,
That's nice.
It's very
Yeah.
powerful.
So, just to give you an idea of what you're doing if you are donating to the Endowment Fund.
That's it for our pilot episode of our podcast. I hope that we hope that you enjoyed our video as much as we did.
And we hope also that you have some reflections from our conversations, and we hope that those reflections will generate more positive actions.
Yes, and if you want to keep in touch with us, you can stay tuned to our social media accounts at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And we are also planning to update our institute website so that we can have more spaces online to reconnect with you.
Yes, and in the website you can actually click on the Give
Give
IIT. Give
Yes.
to IIT rather. That's for the Endowment
Endowment
Fund. Alright, this has been Julie.
Giovanni,
And Ace.
Alright, see you!
see you.
See you!
Julie.